Yeah, so we already in this country have a Frontier AI task force that is equipped with some of the best minds around the world on AI. People like Yoshua Bengio, often referred to as one of the godfathers of AI. Also people like Anne Keys-Butler, who is from GCHQ. So top talent is already working in that area, but we're taking that to the next chapter, which is a safety institute that will then work with other institutes around the world. We know America, they've just announced today that they're going to set up their institute. And as Secretary Raimondo has commented herself, they will work together in lockstep. And what the institute will actually do is evaluate the models. So it will be able to be a third party reviewing them so that we can identify if there are any problems and we can protect the British public whilst also embracing the opportunities.
So as part of that, will you be asking companies to sort of hand over algorithms or do safety tests? How does that look like?
Yeah, so we already secured a deal, if you like, on National Tech Week, where we got and secured access to the models from all the leading frontier companies. And we've already started that evaluatory work via our task force. Now the Institute will really focus on that, but also on research as well. One of the things that many of the commentators have said today is that we need to gain a better understanding of the risks. And that's what we're trying to achieve so that we can then introduce the right solutions, the right guardrails to mitigate against some of those risks so that we can really draw down and seize upon the opportunities.
The Prime Minister spoke about some of those risks around misuse of AI, frontier AI in particular, and some of the sort of perhaps interesting scenarios where humanity might lose control of AI as well. We've heard other technologists warn about some of those risks as well. There has been criticism, though, that perhaps in looking forward you haven't quite dealt with some of the issues at play around AI right now. Some of the misinformation out there, the sort of manipulated images, all of these kind of things that we see across social media. So how do you plan to address some of those more immediate risks?
Well, we're only talking about the frontier here, which is that cutting-edge AI. And there are many processes around the globe, like the Global Partnership on AI, like the Hiroshima process, and they're talking about a lot of the conversation around the other parts of AI. But here we're being strategic and focused. We are actually talking about the impact on society. In fact, I've just come from a roundtable conversation specifically on that, talking about things like misinformation, disinformation, the potential impact on democracy. There are many countries, including the UK, that is facing general elections next year.
And just, there was a lot made, of course, about the invitation to China. This conference, we heard from Vice Minister there earlier, from the Chinese government as well. Do you believe China will get on board with the global consensus, even as it pushes ahead with its own rules domestically?
I think it is massive, the fact that China have attended this summit in the first place. And we do, as the Prime Minister said last week, at least have to try to engage them in this conversation. To me, I always compare it to climate change. You know, if we all act individually and in isolation and not in a coordinated and collective fashion, we won't have the desired impact. And AI is exactly the same. It doesn't respect geographical boundaries. And as you will have seen from the Minister's responses today, they too are engaged in this debate. They too recognise the risks, and they too want to work on some of the mitigations.
When I look at sort of China's domestic AI rules, a lot of it is focused on the continued controls that they place on the internet there as well. What's the danger here that we emerge with a world in which there's a sort of UK, US, European-led set of standards, set of rules, and then a China-led set of rules? Well,
isn't that the whole point of the summit, to bring the world together? We've signed a declaration today, the Bletchley Declaration, signed by over 25 countries and the EU, to ensure that we not only identify the risks, but we have those long-term processes to work together on this agenda. We've announced the second summit in the Republic of Korea, the third summit in France, and certainly that's why we want it to be this global conversation of us working together.
And for the UK, in terms of its own path to regulation, I know the Prime Minister is very careful to say, well, look, you can't regulate too quickly, we need to let innovation thrive as well. But you've seen in the EU, they've got the AI Act, Canada working through its own legislation around AI. What's the UK's thought on particular regulation and law around AI?
So it's not the case that we don't have any regulation. In fact, we have several regulators that are regulating in this space. We published a white paper document earlier this year which laid out the principles that we want our regulators to work to on AI. So things like fairness, safety, transparency, contestability. And then we're going to be coming back to that white paper later this year. But we're saying, before we put in place really fixed long-term solutions, we need to properly understand the problem. We need to get a better handle on the risks. That's why we set up our task force that we're now upgrading to an institute. That's why we've summoned the world and convened them here today and tomorrow, so that we can together work on this question, and we can then work as a panel going forward to really delve into the research and produce a document that we're calling the State of Science Report.
A lot of people will look at this conference and say it's great the UK focusing on AI safety, but where's the focus on the UK's innovation? When you look at the superpowers of AI today, the US and China, you can reel off multi-billion-dollar companies pushing forward innovation in that sector. Where is the UK standing in the world of AI, and what's the strategy to compete with some of these superpowers?
So we are a superpower. We are one of the top 3 countries in the world when it comes to AI. And some of those companies that you're referring to there, like OpenAI and Anthropic, have chosen to locate their second international offices, so their offices outside of the US, here in the UK. And of course, we already are home to Google DeepMind. We're home to thousands of other smaller AI companies that some of them are present here today, such as Darktrace, etc. We are a hub of innovation, and what we want to do by our approach on AI is to ensure that when we regulate, we're regulating to innovate, that we're being proportionate and agile, that we're giving industry that long-term vision to be able to invest in the UK, create the jobs of tomorrow. In fact, just yesterday, I announced a fantastic AI skills package to try and encourage some of the best minds in this area to locate here in the UK, but also to enable us to grow our own.
Right. And Michelle, just one quick final question. Knowing what you know about the world of AI now and how quickly it's developed, would this government have allowed DeepMind to be bought by Google all those years ago?
Look, that was a commercial decision, and Google DeepMind are a fantastic UK success story still. I was there just last night hearing about the next chapter on their road. I'm going to be in a roundtable with them in a minute. They are a great employer here in the UK, and they do fantastic innovative work.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.